guys, and welcome back. We are back with another Premier League predictions video. First and foremost, I do just want to quickly remind you that obviously I've grown my moustache for November. There will be a link down below for you guys to donate. If you could, that'd be very greatly appreciated. However, if not, I understand, and that is totally fine. We are going to be starting off this video with a couple of shout outs from Finn Campbell and Shishay Cassetti again. These two are honestly carrying this series, so thank you so much once again for commenting down below your predictions. You did a lot better than I did, but in fairness, I mean, it was a difficult game week to predict. None of us did particularly well, but without further ado, we will get into my predictions. Oh, where to start, honestly. I got my lowest score ever. I got 3 points out of 50. I got only one result right. I didn't get any of the scores right. I just got one result right. Everything else was wrong. Honestly, I cannot explain to you how depressing that game week was. Going through all of the results, watching them all going, I'm on 0 points. Until Arsenal won. Arsenal was the only one that I got right. You know what? I think the fact that I get so little views on these videos, it kind of makes sense with how I did last week. We are absolutely not going to dwell on that for too long though, particularly for my sake because it was shocking. And we are going to start this video by going to the King Power Stadium with Leicester against Chelsea. Chelsea have been in fine form, winning 4 out of their last 5 games. However, they did draw their last game against Burnley at home. And I kind of wasn't too surprised because Burnley are a bit of a bogey team for us, or certainly have been in the last few years. But at the end of the day, looking at it from a positive outlook, we controlled the game for the majority of it, and in fairness, we didn't lose, so you know, it's still points on the board at the end of the season. Leicester on the other hand had a really poor start to the season, and they kind of got their season back underway a little bit, winning against Manchester United, Brentford as well, 2 very impressive wins, and then lost against Arsenal, which is sort of understandable with the form that they're in, and drawing against Leeds in their last game, which really is a game that they should have been winning, especially considering the amount of injury trouble that Leeds have had so far this season. The pressure's really going to be on for Brendan Rodgers in this game because ultimately you can't help but feel like time is running out for him with the amount of poor results that they've been getting this season. I think with the form that Chelsea are in at the moment, even after the international break, I think we're going to have too much for Leicester, and I think that we are going to win this one relatively comfortably, and I'm going to say that we're going to win this one 2-0. I don't think we're going to completely whitewash Leicester because they've obviously got some injuries to their team, but they are still a good side. By the looks of things, Romelu Lukaku's back in training, so that's great news for us, and I can only see this going one way. Obviously there's a bit of bias on my half, but I think when you look at the form that both teams have displayed this season, it can only go one way, which is a Chelsea win. Next up, we move to Villa Park. It is Aston Villa at home to Brighton. Steven Gerrard's first game in charge of Villa.
Yeah, horse meat.
After a disappointing start to the season, Dean Smithy's gone. He's been sacked. Get out. And I can't help but feel like the writing had been on the wall for quite a long time. Results weren't showing, especially with the amount of investment that they made in the summer following the sale from Jack Grealish. You just can't help but feel like he had to have done better with the squad at his disposal. Brighton, on the other hand, are a fantastic side, and they keep on picking up points. They've picked up a lot of draws. 4 in their last 5 games have been draws, the other being a loss. So they're struggling to find wins. However, at the end of the day, like I said earlier in the video, it's points on the board. It's going to be quite a competitive fixture, this one. Obviously, Villa needing to find form under their new manager, so they're going to have a bit of a boost for this game. However, Brighton are so stubborn at the back. I don't think that there's going to be a lot of goals in this one, and do you know what? I don't think there's going to be any goals. I think it's going to be 0-0. I think it's going to be a goalless stalemate, and I do think that these two teams are going to cancel each other out. I think there's going to be a lot of emphasis on Gerrard's behalf to not lose the game. He doesn't want to get off to a bad start, and as I've already mentioned, Brighton defensively are very solid, and I think it's going to be hard for Villa to find a way through. Next up, we got Burnley at home to Crystal Palace. Burnley starting to find their form, and Crystal Palace picking up 2 wins in their last 2 games, recovering their strong start to the season. The 3-1 win against Brentford and the 1-1 draw against Chelsea for Burnley is going to give them a lot of confidence going into this fixture. However, will the international break have sort of hampered that kind of role that they are on? Maybe. Crystal Palace, as I've already said, have had a great start to the season and are certainly outdoing my predictions for where they'd be at this point in the season. Conor Gallagher seems to be a great capture. Gray at the back seems to be very good, as well as Edouard popping up with a few goals here and there. It takes the pressure off Wilfried Zaha a little bit as being the main man and gives them other options going forward. It will be difficult for them going up against such an experienced and, similar to Brighton, stubborn defence in Burnley. But I do still think that Crystal Palace will just about edge it, despite how well that Burnley had done results-wise in their last 2 games. I think that Palace are going to edge this one 2-1. I think Burnley will score, but I don't quite think they've got enough quality to overturn this informed Crystal Palace side. The next game that we're going to focus on is Newcastle at home to Brentford. During the international break, Eddie Howe was confirmed as the new Newcastle manager, and I think it's a good appointment. appointment. It's a steady appointment. However, will he be enough to keep them up in the league? I'm not so sure. It's going to be very touch and go for Newcastle. I think regardless of the takeover and the new manager that they've got, they're going to need some heavy investment in the summer, and I'm not quite sure whether the new owners will be willing to do that with the risk of them potentially being relegated to the Championship, because then it also begs the question, who's going to want to move to a club that could potentially be playing Championship football next season? Focusing back on this match though, Brentford started the season so well, and in most games that they played, to be honest, they've looked very good. Not out of place at all in the Premier League, considering as they've just come up. However, their form has dwindled off slightly and their strong start is starting to fade. So can Newcastle come in and potentially spoil the party? It remains to be seen. Once again, I do think it is important to consider the fact that when a team has a new manager, there always is a bit of a boost. Players want to play for their positions. They want to play their way into the team who may have been out of favour or slightly on the periphery of a squad. So for that reason, I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. I'm calling it St. Maximin on the score sheet and Mbuemo. Just saying, if that's right, I'm going to be so gassed. But looking at my predictions so far, they've been dreadful, so I wouldn't be surprised if Brentford go and smash them 4-0. Continuing the theme of recently hired managers, we move on to Norwich, who haven't actually signed a new manager yet. Right guys, I'm currently editing the video and I have just clocked that Dean Smith is obviously the manager of Norwich at the moment, so I kind of cocked that one up, so apologies on my behalf, but it's not going to affect my prediction at all because, I mean, let's face it, Norwich are mudded. Sorry guys, back to the video. They obviously sacked Daniel Farke after getting them their first win of the season, which is weird timing. However, it probably needed to happen. Their squad isn't good enough for this league, so I don't think any manager's really going to want to come in and try and take a team really just to get relegated again. Southampton didn't really have a great start to their season, and I do think that they've got a very weak squad compared to a lot of other Premier League teams, so I can see them being down the bottom of the table towards the end of the season. However, if they continue the form that they've been showing recently, especially in a game against Norwich, they should be fine, and I can only see them getting a win in this game, so I will keep it short and sweet. I think it's going to be 3-0 to Southampton, and I know that that's quite big, but I do like Che Adams, I like Adam Armstrong, and I think that they've got quite a few different avenues where they can attack this poor Norwich side. The next 3 o'clock kickoff that we're going to focus on is Watford at home to Manchester United, two teams that have only got one win in their last 5 games. Manchester United, with Ronaldo, Bruno Fernandes, David De Gea and co, have got one win in their last 5 games. That is shocking. Watford, on the other hand, are not doing much better. They're struggling this season, picking up the odd win here and there, which makes them a bit of a difficult team to predict. However, against a team of the calibre of Manchester United, you can only feel like this should really go one way. Manchester United have been pretty good against the respectively smaller sides, and I do think that is going to be the case in this game. I think they're going to be fairly comfortable, and I reckon this is just going to be one of those good looking results that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer pulls out of his sleeve, and I do think that it is going to be 3-0 to Manchester United. I don't think it's going to be a particularly happy vlog for the Cycling GK this week, but I do think it will be a win for his former side, and I think Manchester United are going to take the 3 points. The last 3 o'clock kickoff that we're going to focus on is Wolves against West Ham United, the battle of the W's, and who is going to take the W. West Ham have been outstanding this season, and I say it week after week about how I didn't think that they would be able to play this well with such a relatively small squad compared to other sides. Considering the fact that they're doing well in the Carabao Cup, they're doing well in the Europa League, they're smashing every competition, and they're 3rd in the Premier League as we speak. Wolves, on the other hand, have managed to pick up a good run of form at the moment. They've picked up some decent results despite the loss against Crystal Palace in their last game. But for me, I don't think that you can look past West Ham in this game, especially when they've beaten the likes of Spurs and Liverpool in their last 3 games. For me, I can only see this going one way. Apparently, David O'Sullivan, the West Ham chairman, spent 100 grand just to get Antonio back from Jamaica so he can make it in time to prepare well enough for this fixture, which just shows how seriously they are taking the league this season. And with all things considered, I do think that West Ham are going to take the 3 points here fairly comfortably. I think that they're going to win this game 3-1. Upset of the Molineux. I do think the Wolves are good enough to potentially get an upset, but the way that West Ham have been playing this season, they're just pulling results out their arse. And quite frankly, I think it's going to be the same here. I think they're going to win this one fairly comfortably. West Ham are going to win this game. The late kickoff on Saturday is a very spicy one. We've got Liverpool at home to Arsenal. Two very informed sides at the moment, despite the loss in Liverpool's last game. Despite the loss against West Ham and the draw against Brighton, I do think that it's very difficult to look beyond this Liverpool side, considering the amount of great players that they've got and the fact that they can just turn it on like that. Obviously, they struggled in their last 2 games, but they were unlucky against West Ham and ultimately didn't perform well enough against Brighton. Since losing their last 3 games, however, Arsenal have been unbeaten since then, which is very impressive by their standards, considering some of the results that they picked up along the way and the solid defensive performances that they continue to put in. So for that reason, I don't think that there's going to be a hell of a lot of goals in this one, because both sides are very well set up defensively. So this will be a matter of fine margins. I do think that Liverpool are just about going to edge this game though, and I am going to go for a 1-0 Liverpool win. I'm tempted to go for 2-0 because I feel like once they score one, the floodgates could potentially open. However, as I've already said, I do really like the way that Arteta has set Arsenal up defensively, and I don't think that there's going to be a lot of goals leaked in this game. The early Sunday kickoff sees Manchester City take on Everton at home. The battle of the two Spanish managers in Pep Guardiola against Rafa Benitez. The flame of Everton's strong start to the season is slowly dwindling out, and Manchester City are just ruthless, picking up win after win after win. Manchester City have had a couple of bumps in the road, but I don't think that this is going to be another one. Everton haven't won in their last 5 games, losing 3 of them. Rafa Benitez is going to need to pick up some points if he wants to stay in favour of the Everton fans, but unfortunately I don't think that he's going to quite be able to. The absence of Dominic Calvert-Lewin, Doucouré and co are really still going to hurt them, and until they come back I can't really see them performing as well as they had done at the start of the season. I do think that Manchester City are going to win this one fairly comfortably, and do you know what, I'm actually going to go quite big. I'm going to go for a 4-0 win to Manchester City in this game. If Everton had their whole side fully fit, I do think that they would be able to challenge a little bit more, but I think those injuries are really going to hurt them, and I think that Manchester City are going to exploit that as much as they can, and I think they're going to be very clinical on the day, and I do think they're going to win this one 4-0. The last game of this game week is Tottenham against Leeds. It's my mum's team against my dad's team, so it's going to be a very conflicted household this weekend. A bit like Everton, Leeds have really struggled without a lot of their key men in this season. However, they have got most of those injured players back now, still without their star striker Patrick Bamford. This will be Antonio Conte's second Premier League game in charge of Tottenham, and over the international break, with the players that he still had at the club, he would have had a good amount of time to work with those players to try and get them used to his tactical formation. Harry Kane had an exceptional international period, obviously against some lower teams in Europe. However, you can't look beyond the fact that he did play very well in front of goal in those games. Still missing quite a few big chances. However, the most important thing is he did put the ball in the back of the net 6 times in 2 games, which I do think is hard to look beyond. Antonio Conte is fantastic for getting the best out of his strikers, like he did with Diego Costa, Romelu Lukaku at his last 2 management appointments. If Kane can bring back his form from the international period to the Tottenham side, I could potentially see them running riot against Leeds. However, I don't think that they are going to completely smash them, and I'm going to go for a Tottenham win. I'm going to go for a fairly comfortable 2-0 Tottenham win. I could potentially see Rafinha or any of the Leeds players for that matter coming up with a goal. However, I do think they're going to keep a clean sheet. The likely absence of Christian Romero for Tottenham is going to be a bit of a worry. However, as I say, I don't think that is going to hurt them too much in this fixture. It's certainly not going to affect them, in my opinion, for getting anything else than the 3 points. That is it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. As always, I hope you've enjoyed, and hopefully, just for the sake of this series, I do better, because if I go below 3 points, I'll just sack off YouTube, to be honest. Please do subscribe if you have enjoyed, because I want to try and get 500 subscribers by the end of the year. If I can even get more than that, then that would be amazing. But I really would appreciate it if you guys did like, subscribe, all that jazz. Comment your score predictions down below, because like the guys at the beginning of the episode, if you comment your predictions down below, you will get shout out by me, some random guy you've never met before, and you've probably just stumbled across this video by chance. But how great would that be if you're on YouTube forever? Thank you so much for watching, guys. I will see you in the next one. Take care. Peace and love.